Why did he put glass in his shoe? How come Steven chains himself to the bed? Is Steven a vegan or not? Welcome back to the Old Head Review. In this video, we're going to discuss Easter eggs and the things you missed in episode 1. This is going to be a complete spoiler review, so if you haven't seen it yet, go mummy wrap that up and we'll see you back here when you're done. This episode begins with Arthur Harrow, who we believe to be the villain of this series. We catch Arthur performing what looks to be a religious ceremony. In some extreme religions, this is a sign of devotion to the faith that someone is loyal to. But the key things about this scene is the top handle to his cane are a pair of crocodile heads. Refers to the Egyptian god Amet. Next, we meet Stephen Grant. Stephen Grant is one of Moon Knight's multiple personalities. Moon Knight suffers from dissociative identity disorder. And in the old comics, we start off by meeting Mark Spector, the original character. And Stephen Grant is one of Mark's multiple personalities. It looks like we're starting off meeting Stephen and we'll meet Mark later. Stephen wakes up and we see that he's chained himself to a bed. He has a pile of sand surrounding his bed, and he's also put tape on his door. Stephen gets ready for work, and as he's on his way to work, he falls asleep on the bus. This kind of shows us that he has a problem with sleep. When Stephen arrives at work, we see a reflection of the museum in a puddle. Reflections appear quite often in this series, and I think it's a way to help tell the story about a man battling different personalities. While Mark is going back and forth with his boss, we find out that he made a date with one of his co-workers, but he is unaware of it. So we can only assume while Mark was in control of the body that he set this date up. After work, Stephen sits down with a mime friend. This mime friend resembles Crowley, a friend of his from the comic. And as he leaves his mime friend, we see another reflection referring to the different personalities that Mark has battling inside. Stephen gets home and struggles to get some sleep. He wakes up on foreign ground with his jaw out of place. Then he hears the voice of Konshu. The voice actor for Konshu is none other than Ed Murray Abrams, who kind of gives off a Venom type vibe the way he speaks to Stephen. Stephen reaches into his pocket and finds a gold scarab and then starts to be attacked and flees off into town. And if you notice here, as he's trying to hide, he puts up his hood. And what color is his hood? You guessed it, white, resembling the fist of Konshu. Stephen comes across Arthur in the middle of the town square. Arthur is in the process of judging souls for the god Amet. Amet was a goddess in ancient Egypt religion. Amet had front legs of a lion, back legs of a hippo, and its head was a crocodile. These three animals represent the three largest man-eating animals known to the Egyptians. And this further explains why we see crocodile heads on the tattoo on Arthur's arm, as well as the top of his cane. In ancient Egyptian religion, the god Anubis judged souls in the afterlife. And if your soul was not worthy, Amet devoured your heart. Arthur is told by one of his goons that the thief is in the crowd somewhere. And so Arthur speaks to the crowd and tells them to kneel. And of course, Stephen's left out of the loop, pointing out that he is the thief with the scarab. Arthur requests the scarab from Stephen, and Stephen has no problem giving it up because it means nothing to him. But Moon Knight or Mark Spector won't let him open his hand and give up the scarab. Arthur's men put their hands on Stephen, and Stephen's eyes start to flutter and the screen goes black. When Stephen comes to, he realized that somehow he took out the assailants and still has the scarab in his hand. He takes off and gets in a truck, and we get to the car chase scene. During this car chase, we hear Wham with the song titled Wake Me Up that I thought was super fitting. We again see Stephen black out, and when he wakes up, we can only assume that Mark handled all the danger. Stephen escapes the assailants, but before you know it, he wakes up perfectly fine in his bed back at home. And at this point, Stephen thinks everything was a dream. We see his reflection in this scene, and his reflection is split into 3 different parts, representing the 3 different personalities going on inside his head. We then see another 3-part reflection as Stephen is getting ready for his date. Cut to the restaurant where Stephen thinks he's being stood up. As it's getting pretty late, he goes ahead and calls the girl, asking her why she's not here. She tells him she was there on Friday, but now it's Sunday. It's at this moment that Stephen realized that he's lost track of 2 whole days. A quick side note, I noticed in this moment Stephen ordered a steak. when at the beginning he was confused because he was a vegan? Just a small Easter egg I noticed. Stephen returns home, and while wallowing in his sorrow, eating the chocolates, he stumbles upon Mark's secret stash. In this stash is a cell phone, and in the cell phone are a list of missed calls. One of these missed calls is labeled Duchamp. Duchamp is the last name of his friends from the comic, Frenchie. Frenchie kind of helps Moon Knight the way Alfred helps Batman. If you're enjoying the content so far, please slap that like button, like Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Let's get back into the breakdown. A bunch of missed calls from a girl named Layla, and right in that moment, Layla called and Steven answered the phone. Layla refers to Steven as Mark, and he asks why. It's at this moment that he first time hears that new name. Then we hear a voice say Steven, but it's not Konshu. It's the first time Mark is reaching out. Mark scares Steven, and Steven takes off down the hallway to the elevator. When he enters the elevator, once again we see multiple reflections, and this is right before we get a look at the actual spirit of Konshu. Konshu scares Steven, and then the next scene we see is Steven doing the late shift on inventory at work. While doing inventory, he hears the sound of what he thinks is a dog, but we later find out and see a shadow of something much larger and much more scary than a dog. These jackals chase Steven throughout the museum. Mark runs into the bathroom and locks the door. The jackal is scraping at the door trying to get in, and at this time, we see Mark in the reflection on the bathroom mirror, and he asks Steven for complete control of the body. Steven gives it to him, and we watch the transformation of Mark into Moon Knight. We get a quick cutaway, and then we return to the iconic shot from the trailer where we get our first in-series look at Moon Knight. This is the way we end the episode, and I myself was thoroughly impressed. I really love the way they're tackling Mark Spector's multiple different personalities. By telling the story from Steven's point of view first and introducing Mark later, it allows us, the audience and viewers, to be just as confused as Steven and learn more as we move forward. I also love how the multiple personalities flashing in and out kind of give me some of those Fight Club vibes. I also think Oscar Isaac is doing a phenomenal job. There's small little points where us, the viewer, can see him cracking, see him battling this issue he has with sleep, and showing us that he's realizing it's something more and bigger and that it's scary to him. I also love the way Steven blacks out and then comes back awake, realizing that Mark had done something while he's gone. I really hope later in the series, we get to revisit these moments and see what Mark did while we were away. Ultimately, I super enjoyed episode 1. It wasn't jam-packed full of action, but I really enjoy the plot that surrounds a person with multiple personalities that happens to be a superhero dealing with Egyptian religion. All these things are my favorite. I mean, hell, I got Horus, Nefertiti, Anubis, I love Egyptian culture, so this series is going to get 2 thumbs up from me most of the time, unless they turn it into Boba Fett. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you could be around next week when we cover episode 2 of Moon Knight. And if you're not too familiar with Moon Knight's backstory, then please watch this video here where we break down the 5 things you need to know about Moon Knight before watching the series. And for Old Head Reviews, as always, I'm your host, Joey Sparks. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.